Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. I am so excited to introduce our next guest today. His name is Ryline Monkman, and he has such an incredible story about hard work, perseverance, and overcoming obstacles. Ryline grew up in a bad way, with difficult situations surrounding both parents, including getting kicked out of his house at age 14 and becoming a father at age 16. He was still somehow able to dig deep within himself and find the will to pursue his dreams. Through the rap program at his high school, he was able to work on an apprenticeship before graduating with honors. His trade brought him financial success and opportunity to care for his family. And eventually, it brought him full circle where he joined Careers Next Generation, the company actually responsible for implementing the rap program that paved the way for his future success. Keep listening to follow Ryland's trials, tribulations, and victories in his ultimate pursuit of a successful, fulfilling life using the skilled trades as a catalyst to get there. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and on our website at blueisthenewwhite.com to receive all the latest updates. As always, this show's not monetized and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on word of mouth from our listeners to further the mission. So if you enjoy this episode, please take a moment to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of tradespeople depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again and enjoy this episode of the Blue is the New White podcast with Ryline Monkman. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. I have a special guest today. His name is Ryline Monkman from Careers Next Generation, and I'm incredibly excited to have this conversation. He has a fantastic story. I just got a little bit of it, but I'm excited to hear the rest of it today about how he got to where he is via the skilled trades. Ryline, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get into it. Why don't you go ahead and take this opportunity to kind of introduce yourself to the audience and go right into your story, man, about how you got to where you are today.
Awesome. Thank you. So, as I said, my name is Ryline Monkman, and I currently work for Careers the Next Generation. Careers is a not-for-profit organization that helps Alberta students find placement in the skilled trades. And when I was in high school, I was a RAP student. That's the Registered Apprenticeship Program. But my story goes way before that. I grew up what I thought was a pretty normal life. My parents were divorced. Drugs and alcohol were a normal part of my family. Money was tight. What I thought was normal. It wasn't until I was about 12 when I started to really push back and started noticing it wasn't the same as my friends at school. Christmas wasn't the same. Birthdays weren't the same. I started questioning it. I pushed back and I added some challenge to my parents. And at 14, my mom could not handle me anymore and told me, get out, hit the road. So I moved in with my grandparents for a bit, and they had a little 2-bedroom apartment, and they allowed me to sleep on the couch, which I thank them for that. But they couldn't handle me either, so I was able to bounce back and forth between my dad's, then to friends, and back to my grandparents.
I don't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry, but when you say they couldn't handle you, what does that mean? Were you like a wild kid, or what's the story?
I thought I was an adult. Ever since I was like 12 years old, I thought I knew it all. I should have been 18. I came and went, and as I pleased. I didn't like authority. Parents couldn't tell me what to do. The more you told me what I shouldn't do, the more I did it. A pretty bad kid. But my parents weren't the best role models in that sense either. They were doing stuff that a kid shouldn't be seeing and doing. So if they're doing it, why can't I? So it's kind of pot calling kettle black. Don't tell me to do something if you're doing it.
That's right.
So I bounced around a lot. And so between my dad's and my grandparents and back and forth for about that year, I moved over 14 times. I lived out of my backpack. Everything I owned fit in my school backpack, my school books, my clothing, everything I owned, which was a challenge. When I lived with my grandparents, they were both heavy smokers. They smoked each a pack of cigarettes in a 2-bedroom apartment, so my clothes reeked of cigarettes. It was disgusting. You get on a bus and you just stunk, but it's what I had to do, right? It wasn't until my dad kind of was given the ultimatum from his girlfriend, either me or her. And I thought for sure he's going to choose her, you know. We never got along, but no, he moved out with me. We got our own place. We had some roommates. And I thought finally life was looking up. I was going to go to grade 10. It was, you know, we had a place on the north side. And I thought finally it's home. That lasted for about 6 months until, you know, my dad's demons caught up to him again. Couldn't afford to rent, so we had to split ways again. I was about 15 at this time, already in grade 10. But good thing I had a relationship with my girlfriend's dad because he allowed me to move in with him during this time. But to kind of backstep a little bit to kind of where the trades entered into this is, so going into grade 9 to grade 10, I knew I wanted to go to school called St. Joe's in the city of Edmonton here, and they had an amazing mechanics program. I knew I was going to go there. No matter what, that's what I wanted to do. So even though my parents weren't there to support me and they didn't care, I went to the open house myself. I went to the school and signed up myself.
Why?
I took the steps.
I don't mean to interrupt again, but what was it that intrigued you about the mechanical aspect? Why did you want to take that route? Why didn't you want to take the typical, you know, hey, go to college, do this, do that? Was it because you didn't think you could, or was it because you were genuinely intrigued with the trades aspect?
Both. So first, when I was in elementary, I wanted to be a veterinarian. But I had teachers tell me I'd never amount to anything because my marks were garbage. I was a horrible student. Grade 5, the teacher said, if you can't spell veterinarian, how do you plan on being a vet? And I was like, well, that's some good points, right?
Super encouraging.
So, yeah. Like the grade 4 teacher made it really bad. That was the worst year of my school history. Is I pretty much wanted to drop out in grade 4. So having this negative teacher experience continue on and kind of just made me feel like, okay, you're not going to amount to anything. You're just going to be a deadbeat like everybody else in your family. So what's the point? So the reason I chose mechanics is my dad's a heavy-duty mechanic. He's always been a heavy-duty mechanic, and cars, and I like cars. It's been my thing. I watch car shows in the mornings. I've always wanted to fix them, build race cars, build classics. I thought, well, I'll kind of follow in my dad's footsteps, right? Especially after I couldn't spell veterinarian, I still can't. I thought, well, maybe that's not in my line of work. So I decided, yeah, I wanted cars. I knew that was going to be what I wanted to do. And I was working at a shop part-time, kind of grade 9, grade 10, at a trailer shop, just being the shop cleanup and stuff. So I've always been around. I always went to the shop Saturday mornings with my dad. It was my life. It's kind of what I've known. And college was never, ever an option. Between the money, the schooling, nobody even graduated in my family. I was the first Monkman to graduate on time. We've had Monkmans graduate, but I didn't fail a grade from kindergarten to grade 12. Everybody else in my family has. Nobody else has really gone to school. Some of them don't even have their education. So it was like, that was the first step of just proving my worth to my family. It's like, yeah, I can do it. Why can't you?
Wow, that's amazing, and that's got to be a lot of pressure though on a kid in that age range between 12 and 16 years old. I mean, we're all really impressionable at that age, right? And I mean, from what I've heard up until this point, that's heavy, man. That really is, especially that nobody in your family has graduated on time. I mean, and you've got this pressure, I would imagine, of people kind of just watching you and expecting you, right, to either fail, expecting you to fail, or expecting you to be better than they were without any support. That's got to be hard, right?
Everybody expected me to fail. It was my destiny to fail. I actually expect myself to fail. My goal in life before I turned 18 was to be dead or in jail by 18. That's all I had going for me. When you don't have parents, you don't have the support, you don't have nothing. What did I live for? Nothing. So having a kid at 16 saved my life. Having the trades at 16 gave me a purpose and a meaning to give my kid a purpose and a meaning. I'm kind of jumping all over here.
No, that's okay. We were almost there. You left off when you were 15, and then and then you had a kid when you were 16. So why don't you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was living on my own. I was doing my own thing. I thought I was an adult, and me and my girlfriend at the time, or my wife now, yeah, we got her pregnant, and we're living at her dad's house at the time, and we were both in grade 11, unsure what we're doing. Life was rough. We're just making ends meet. I had no support from parents. Like I was paying for my own schooling, I was paying for my own bus passes, my own phone time. Like everything was on me. And she drops that bomb. Hey, I'm pregnant.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that have had that bomb dropped on them. I know that for a fact. And I'm curious because I know I've talked to a lot of people, right, in this industry and other industries that have had kids really young, and they all say the same thing. It turns out to be a blessing, right? It turns out to be a blessing, but at the time, their thoughts are a little bit more four-letterish, And so I'm curious. At the time, how did you receive that information?
Well, it wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I grew up pretty much raising my little brother. He's 3 years different than we are, but with pretty much my whole childhood, it was me taking care of him, me making sure he was okay, making sure he was fed, he was safe. So I went from raising my little brother to raise my own kid. So I've never really had that chance of being a kid myself. But yeah, at the time, I was just like we're pretty much homeless. I don't have a job. I'm failing in school. Life is, beating us. What am I going to give this child? But I didn't really have the father I wanted. So I knew I don't want somebody on this earth that doesn't have a father. Plain and simple. If there's going to be a child that's mine, that's my kid.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm 16, 15, 14, that's my kid and I'll figure a way. And that was my mind thought.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I go, holy, how did I achieve this? How did anything work out of that? I was in grade 10 when I found out, end of grade 10, I had like 10 credits in school. I was like, I'm going to get kicked out. I was on the chopping block to get kicked out. And yet you're telling me I'm having a kid coming into this world? Like, something has to change.
And you still graduated on time.
Graduated with honors on time. I have a 2-year-old.
With honors. Okay. So a lot happened in the 2 years from when you had a kid to when you graduated high school, or a year and a half.
And I was still working 3 days a week, like full-time at my other employment. So let's kind of get into the wrap program. So grade 11, the summer grade 11, I caught up on everything I needed to do. So I was where I had to go in grade 12, and I applied for the Registered Apprenticeship program, or the wrap program, which gives high school students opportunity to try the trades. And I was in auto body because mechanics actually didn't really work out for me. And I went to auto body, and the teacher saw my skill. He was my mentor, and he trained me and helped me to be the best that I could be in that. So I enrolled in an auto body, got a position, worked summer of grade 11 full time. And then going into grade 12, I was able to work 3 days a week, go to school 2 days a week, and continue my apprenticeship. So leaving grade 12, I had almost all my hours I needed to finish my first year apprenticeship, starting my journey as a second year apprentice. Which was amazing.
No, that's absolutely amazing. And so, I mean, with the relationship, there's, at least as far as I know, and I've talked to a lot of people, there's not a program here in the States that allows this style of training for an apprenticeship while going to school. So you said you were working 3 days a week. So you had schooling then 2 days a week. How did you juggle all of that while having a kid at home? What, boy or girl, by the way?
A son. My
son.
Okay.
A boy.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you juggle all of that while having a son to deal with? And I mean, to me, that seems almost impossible. How did you make it work?
I don't know. It was long days. We'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, me and my wife. We would get him ready, and he was a mama's boy, so she had to get him ready. She had to put his socks on. She had to, because he would lose it, long story short, but We'd get them to school or daycare for 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they would hop on the bus, and depends where I'm going. It'd be either to work or to school. My wife was in school still during that time, so there's a school called Braemar, which helps young parents, young teens, expecting parents, blah blah blah.
Okay.
And so they helped support the daycare in that school. So there's a support for her, so she's able to continue her education, raise our son, do all that good stuff. But it was just long days. I would do my homework at my lunch breaks, on the bus to school, on the bus from home. Each way was an hour. So I always had an hour to work, an hour home. So there's 2 hours worth of homework. Plus my lunch break was an hour. I would do another hour then. Once my son would go to bed, I would do more homework then. It was just lots of just time management and picking priorities. I didn't go partying. When I didn't have friends, I didn't go out. Like everybody's like, hey, let's go to the restaurants or go do this. It was this is my priority. And at that time, at 6 months old, me and my wife had our own townhouse that was ours. There was nobody, no basement suites, no living on couches. It was 16 years old with my own townhouse with my wife and my son.
Wow. Okay. And is that so? At this point, was your goal right? Because you've got a new baby, you've got your son, you're working this job, you're going to school, you're finding a way to get things done. What kept you going? I mean, I'm sure part of it was you wanted to provide a life for your son that you didn't have, right? But was that driving you toward just making sure you graduate, or was that driving you towards something bigger? Was there a bigger intention there?
I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be better and to give my family everything that I can never give. And it's not just to buy their happiness, it's to give them experiences, give them opportunities, to give them just that life, that stable home, that family, just everything I dreamed of as a kid, stuff couldn't even imagine possible. And I just wanted, I just wanted, for example, to graduate. I wanted to tell my son because right now he's in grade 7, I want to be like, if I could graduate with a child, there's no damn reason why you can't do the best you can do.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't get honors or push yourself or take that risk. I want to be like, that's a parent that says, take that chance in life because you can always come home. Jump off the deep end and try to swim. And if you can't, I'll be there with a lifeboat.
Yeah.
I want to be that for them,
I got goosebumps over here, man. No, that's so powerful, right? Because we often, I'm a firm believer that the more you struggle throughout your life, the better position you can put yourself in, because you've been there, you've learned, you've done the trials, the tribulations, the hard things, so you know how to navigate them, which is impeccable for giving advice to others, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that haven't had to struggle, not a day in their lives. And so the second something even looks like it might be a little bit hard, they have no idea what to do. They're too reliant. But I mean, as far as I can tell, like I know that your life was hard, at least up to the point that we're talking about right now. Your life was incredibly difficult, but man, it had to have taught you so many things that people your age did not know, right? Or could not handle.
And I'm so thankful for everything that's happened in my life. And it was tough. And yeah, there's situations where I should be dead. I should be in jail. I should have not been where I am today. And it's just, you push through it because tomorrow's going to be a better day. And the next day's going to be a better day. And you just have to push through that. I like to call it the shit pile, when you've been covered in crap for so long, you just keep digging through it. You're going to get out of it. But if you stop halfway through and turn back, you're going to be walking back through more crap. So you got to just keep digging through it and not giving up.
Good
and
advice.
I just wanted to, be that for my son at that time. I want to be that perfect role model for him. And whatever it took, as much as I had to work hard, sometimes I was working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. My wife, for the first 10 years of her life, she didn't have to work, or for my son's life, she didn't have to work because she was able to be a stay-at-home mom. raise our son. We had a daughter as well, and she got to have that opportunity because the trades paid me well enough, gave me life skills that I can say, you stay home, you raise our kids, you give our family the life they deserve. I'll go make the money.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So where do we leave off? You were in 11th grade. You were in your own townhouse with your wife and your son. Haven't yet graduated at this point. Pick me up.
So yeah, not much really after that. So going into grade 12, I continued to work 3 days a week. And like I said, I had to pay for my own schooling. I paid for my own bus passes. I didn't have parents supporting me. My dad did give me a little bit of money here and there, but not enough. Like my rent was $900 a month, my schooling costs, my bus passes, my phone. So it was long days. The bus ride was an hour. I had to walk probably another 30 minutes from when I got off the bus to get to work. Beside this highway, it's called the Yellowhead, and it's a super sketchy little skinny path I had to walk on. Semis blowing past me, crickets jumping all over me in the summertime. You're covered in grasshoppers. It's like disgusting feeling, but I did what I had to do to get to work. And wintertime, you're walking down that same narrow road. Too bad there's snow piled up. I almost got hit by cars multiple times. You slip down the bank, but you had to get to work. And it wasn't an excuse. You're either making excuses or you're making progress. But I made sure I got to work. If I knew that it was going to be crappy out, I took an extra couple of minutes, caught the bus before it, showed up to work early. It's just, you had to do what you had to do. And so continued on. Grade 12, I graduated. I had almost 200 credits. So I had like 80 credits just from auto body alone, plus work experience, plus the registered apprenticeship program, plus then all my other schooling on top of that. So I kicked ass in 2 years in high school, and it was amazing.
That's so awesome. And what a testament to the power of hard work. I love what you said. You're either making excuses or making progress. I think that's a huge takeaway for the audience, and something that it's a fundamental that you should live by daily, because no matter what you're doing in life, whether it's in the trades, whether it's personally, whether it's in any kind of business, whatever, you're either making excuses or you're making progress.
And I live by that, and it's that simple. Even I've got to coach my kids soccer for years and years and years, and I tell the kids that, they come off and like, oh, I did this or this. I'm like, you're making excuses here. No, it's a simple thing to live by, because I can make excuses why I should fail with my story I've given you. I should have 2,000 reasons why I should have failed, why me and my wife shouldn't have been together, why I should have been a piece of crap, but I didn't make excuses. I didn't use my past as a crutch to, as sympathy. And I don't tell my story as a sympathy. I tell my story to empower others to say, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm a nobody. I wasn't the smartest. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest, but I wanted it. And this is my goals. So you can achieve your goals, because your goals are your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's fast forward a little bit and talk about what happened after you got out of high school. I imagine you continued down the route of the auto body.
Yeah, so I continued doing auto body. I worked for the same employer. I started in detail washing cars for my first year apprenticeship, moved up to prep and paint, where I quickly fought my way to the team lead of the paint department, because I wanted to be the boss. Nobody's telling me what to do. Always have, always will.
Yeah, it's that entrepreneurial mindset.
Exactly, right? I just knew I could do it better than the next person, so I'll do it. I fought to be the team lead of one of the largest paint shops in Edmonton. So my budget, or our goal, was $300,000 a month, which is huge numbers in the winter or the summertime. I had about 7 or 8 people under my team. I did that for a bit, and I loved it. I loved that control. I loved running a team, being that good boss, that mentor, inspiring people. But being 21 years old, people don't want to listen to you. You're dealing with 30, 40-year-olds that are, they've been doing it for, I have underwear older than you, they used to say. I'm like, cool, but you should buy some new underwear, because there's new ways in life.
That's fantastic. I can relate to you on that subject. I became the CEO of this company in Phoenix when I was 26, I think 24, 26. But even then, a lot of the people that I would employ are much older, HVAC technicians, food equipment technicians, things like that, and in their, 40s, 50s, sometimes even 60s. And I can tell you, there's a dynamic there. There's a hurdle for people like us that isn't a hurdle for people that are older than us, right? In those positions. I think it still helps develop that work ethic, that thick skin, and that confidence, but it does take time, and it's definitely an extra element to what you already have to be responsible for.
Exactly, especially when they challenge everything you do. Even though they know your answer's right, they want to challenge you just to try proving you're wrong. And it was just this constant whole issue. But me being like, I grew up pretty much on the streets. There's nothing you're going to say or do to me that's going to hurt my feelings because I've seen it all. I've been there. I've done that. So, things like that didn't really bother me. But I got to the point where I wanted that challenge. I wanted something new. I was already a dual red seal auto body technician by that time. So in auto body, I have a red seal auto body technician and a red seal auto body refinisher. So I can paint cars and repair cars, which is, it's great to have those, but I wanted more out of my trade. So I got into the bodywork side of it. I was in the collision work. So whenever you get in a car accident, cars get smashed up, you have to bring it back to OEM specs. And I wanted to be more on the repair side. I did that for a little bit, but once again, it got to the point where it's new every single day. Every single car is different, but it's still the same stuff. It's still using your tools, using your body, and not so much your mind. And I work with technicians that were doing it for 30, 40 years, and they're gimped and they're telling me, get out of the trade while you can. The money's great, but get out. And I'm thinking, no, I want the money. It's all about the money. Let's just push for the money. But after a while, my knees hurt, my back hurt. I was about 23, 24, and I was making almost 100,000 a year. And I thought, life's great. You're making all this money, but the more you make, the more you spend, the more you spend, the more you have to make. And it was just this vicious rat race I was getting into of making mad money, spending more money, have to work harder next month. As a flat rate tech, you only got paid by your work. So I just started chasing that money and chasing it. And right around that time, my mom passed away, and it was a shitty spot I was in. And I kind of looked, I'm like, is life about money? What is my purpose? Is it about just working my butt off every single day, being miserable, coming home grumpy and tired and having to nap? Yeah, my bank account was fat, but do my kids get to see me? No. Did they get to appreciate my time? No. Did my wife appreciate me coming home grumpy? No. But here, I can pay you to go out for dinner. Hey, I can pay us to go do this stupid stuff, but were we happy at home? So I really started questioning that, and I thought, no, that's not for me anymore. It's not about making all this money and just working and working and working to come home miserable. Going to work for 6 to come home for 3 to nap, to go to another job. It's not worth it. So I looked and I thought, what can I do to kind of change that? And I want to get into the office with estimating. So I fought my way to get to the office. I started by, once again, ground level, got into the office, and I started, doing that, which I really enjoy because I like dealing with customers. I like customer service. I like to please people, show them why they need to get their vehicle repaired with us. I would pull vehicles apart in front of them while wearing my dress clothes and show them, here, this is the damage that's behind the bumper, write up an estimate. And I loved it. It was a great feeling to do that. And these customers were building the trust with me. Yeah, I'm a young kid, and a lot of the time they come and go, what do you know? Well, I just did 11 years on the floor, so that's what I know. Like, just because I look young doesn't mean I'm young.
Question, did you have to take if you don't mind me asking, did you have to take a pay cut at that point?
Huge pay cut. I took 50%.
Oh, wow. Well, and it sounds like, I think it's fair to say that, that event that you just talked about was like a huge turning point in your life, where you kind of understood the difference between you understood the actual definition of success, which is something I talk a lot about on this show. It's in my book. It's in everything because, oftentimes, no matter what your circumstances, and you're a prime example, right? Because your circumstances are different than a lot of people, but success is defined to us as young people in society as making a lot of money, That is what success is defined as to us. That's basically just dictated to us, right? And nobody's asking the question, hey, what else is there? Everything revolves around this. How much money can you make? Whether it be in the trades, whether it be going to university and getting your degree, it all revolves around, well, you can be this successful if you make this much money, this successful. That's the measure, but it's wrong. I mean, and truly it is. So it sounds to me like that's the point where you kind of realized that and kind of looked in the mirror and said, "Hey, I'm successful by this account, but what areas of my life am I lacking in family and friends and spirituality and whatever it may be, because it has to be balanced to really see and achieve that success, which is ultimately fulfillment."
Exactly. It's what's my purpose, and I didn't even realize I didn't have a purpose until that moment where I sat there with that life-changing experience and go, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And that was when I started changing my whole journey, was about to fulfill my purpose, to give back. Along the way of my journey, I've coached my son in his soccer since he was a toddler, so I've been able to give back on that, which I really enjoyed, giving my expertise to these youth. And yeah, it's like herding cats at U4 to U7. But then I was able to be a part of my community league. I was a past president on my community league as well. So I gave back to my community on that. Just so much on that way as well, but it still didn't feel like that was my purpose. That was my meaning of life. I was still working a job that I didn't wake up happy to go to work and, skip out the door and, you go to work and like, you can't see, but I got gray hair and I'm only 28 years old. And I'm like, that's what work was doing to me. It wasn't giving me that purpose. And then it was really just, it wasn't the money. It wasn't the work. And I continued to question, what is it? What is it? And I tried different things. I tried working on classic cars. I tried buying and selling cars, thinking, let's chase the money. Maybe making my own money was going to help that. It still just didn't give me that feeling of let's wake up and do good. It wasn't until Careers the Next Generation, which is the employer I work for now, really they reached out to me. The CEO, Andy Nagel, reached out to me, and because I was a rap student, I did speeches for them, kind of told my story. And he thought, hey, like, you got to come work for us. You're it's that perfect little, your story and what we do. And I thought, this is perfect. This is how I can give back my time, my story, my experience, tell the world, the trades are out there and it's life-changing. And anybody can do it. You just got to find your trade that's you're passionate about. There's 50 some trades in Alberta that are recognized. And that's just a start. I've used auto body to kind of get me to branch out to so many other opportunities in my life. But it just started with the one trade, with not knowing anything about cars, barely knowing how to change a tire, to I can fix any car I want now.
Yeah. No, and that's powerful. And I think it's important for people to recognize, especially from your story, that the trades, when you're looking at the trades and you're looking at a career and you're trying to decide what you want to do, it doesn't have to always be the be all end all, right? I mean, you took something that you were clearly passionate about and you worked it and you made your money. You established, yourself for your family, your community, all of that. And you did that, but you ended up reaching a point where you didn't want to do that anymore. And that's okay. But where it led you, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about in a minute, but where it led you is really the point, right? Because without that in the beginning, you couldn't get to where you are today. So the trades really pointed you in the direction that you needed to go to ultimately find that success. No matter how many times it changes, that's the thing I love about the trades, right? Is that the fundamentals that you gain from it, that you build from it, the character that you develop, and it's fair to say, even if you haven't had as hard of a life as you have, the trades will help you build that character. You, in my opinion, were at an advantage because you had this character built up, right? You had this tenacity before you even got into the trades. So, by the time you got there, it just reinforced that character and that work ethic and things like that. But for people who weren't in that position, the trades can really build on it and help to form that character, which leads me to my next point, is that those characteristics, no matter what you do next, are the fundamentals of being successful.
And without the trades, it gave me skills in life that I didn't have that dad to teach me. For example, changing a tire, changing a battery, checking my oil, these things that, people kind of take for granted to have, maybe not a father, but a grandfather or somebody in their family that kind of does that. Or as simple as taking what I learned in auto body and bringing it into my home life with doing my own renos and doing my own repairs around the house. I take these things I've learned from the trades and bring it into my house here, building flower boxes. In the auto body, for example, we measure within like 1 millimeter. These vehicles have to be pulled to. So when you're measuring things into 1 millimeter, when I build something out of wood, I got miles of space here. So it's just understanding measurements and taking like things I've learned, how different metals work, and taking into even my personal life with arts and like learning like that. So before, I've always liked to kind of mess around with drawings and stuff like that. But before I got into the art or into auto body, I've never really been into art, but I got into auto body. I got into color mixing and painting and sculpting and taking metals and different materials and building stuff out of them, which has took me onto more of my personal growth side of painting and drawing and appreciating the world that's around us. As a kid, I didn't appreciate the trees, the birds, because I was in survival mode. But now I can stop and look at my window and I see a blue jay sitting there and I see my dogs playing in the yard. And, you appreciate the beauty of the world around you when you can actually not be in fight or flight mode for your whole life.
Yeah. Such a great point, and to expand on that point too, you can stop and smell the roses now, as you would say, but you also develop an appreciation for the things that are built, right? And a lot of the times, I know that when I was growing up, you look around and everything's taken for granted. The cars, the paint, the buildings, the light posts, the streets, it's everywhere. So it's taken for granted, right? But once you're in the trades and you start to, expand your horizons and you start to actually work with your hands, there's an appreciation, I think, that develops for the world around you, the civilization around you, and it kind of gives it a whole new perspective. You know what I mean? From a self-development standpoint and just from a gratitude standpoint, realizing how the trades are responsible for just about everything that we see in an urban environment.
Mm-hmm. And as simple as I go to car shows now and I see just these little details, somebody did something just that nobody else will ever notice. But I just see that person took a little bit of extra work or did something, and I'll go up to them and I'm like, hey, I really like what you did here. And they go, you noticed that? Thank you. Or, you drive down a road and you see a vehicle that wasn't repaired properly and you just look at it and you go, that was repaired. Or I go to auctions and buy cars and I could walk down the rows and just point stuff out that people don't know. And that's a skill that was just developed in me, which has brought me back to just buying and selling cars or my own personal vehicles. That I've been called a car guru from car dealers because of the stuff I'll point out, but it's because I've been around it for so long and I made it my mission to learn. You could just go in life and just take the bare minimum, but if you don't constantly ask why and want to learn and grow, you can't know everything. And sometimes people kind of get to the point where, oh, I've been in this trade for 30 years, I know everything. And then that's where they stop.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I love that you touched on, pointing out what you noticed in cars when they were repaired and stuff. I call that the spouse activator, because usually your spouse will be sitting next to you and be like, "Will you shut up already? I get it. I understand it. You know it." Okay. I do the same thing when I go by a restaurant, like, "Oh, that restaurant's got a dirty kitchen." She's like, "I don't care." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, my wife's pretty good at that. She just looks at me and smiles.
Ah, there you go. All right. Well, that is, I mean, so many good points there. So that brings us then to today. So what else? You left off when you got involved with Careers Next Generation. You have this opportunity to tell your story, to motivate and inspire other people. You know, how does that fit in? How does that play into your success now?
So I want to kind of back up a little bit because one part I feel is really important in my life is at 21, I was able to buy my first house. 24, I was able to buy my dream house. So it may not be your dream house what you imagine, but as a child, I thought it was impossible to own a single family home with a double garage that was mine. And as a child, I didn't think that was possible. But by 24, I was able to buy my own single family detached home with my own garage, and it's mine, and it's all mine. And that to me was the first step of realizing if you want it, you can have it, but it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come overnight. And that took 10 years of planning and saving and penny pinching. You know, I used to know if my wife took my credit card or my bank card and bought a coffee for $1.67, I knew she bought that coffee by just looking at my money because I was so tight for so long. And finally I achieved it. And that was one of my first, what I thought was success is it wasn't about how much money I was making. It was, this is mine. This is my roots, and my kids' schools are 2 minutes from here. So we don't, this is our home. We're not moving from here. And as long as they're till they're 18 and going to college or whatever they're doing after, this is my home. So that was the first part of kind of once I got my tickets and things were going great for me. But currently I have a bunch of different things going on. I know success, you need money. It's not about how much money, but it's how you get your money. And if I can make money without having to give my time, that's what I'm working on. So I currently own a mobile detailing company that I've operated for about 5 years in the city here. And I work on very high-end exotic cars, which is amazing. I work on McLarens and Ferraris and Range Rovers and Bentleys.
Cool.
My clients have, like, for example, one client, his McLaren is $647,000 before he put a custom paint job on it and exhaust and everything else. Bentleys that are daily drivers for $300,000, Ferraris that are $400,000, $500,000. These people's cars are more than my house and everything I own, but they trust me because the trades have given me that confidence, that knowledge, the skills that I can go to them and say, yeah, I'll fix your car. I'll clean your car. It's only 4 wheels. I don't care. Yeah, it's an expensive price tag, but I have a confidence that it's still a car. But secretly, deep down inside, I'm like a little schoolgirl.
Right.
Like, oh yay!
just let me sit in. Just let me take it for a spin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me just go around the block. I got to check it. But I built this business up where I have people employed for me during the summer. I have a whole growth of that business growing. And the nice thing, I built that company where I don't have to be in it. So yes, I'm still doing what I have to do as a business owner, but I have people working for me. I'm still making money so I can spend my time with my family. And that's all it comes down to is how much time can I spend with my family and still making income. And then I just became an investor slash partner on another business that's it's kind of a one-stop shop for business owners, musicians, influencers that are trying to get an online presence. We do web design, graphic design. We own the silk screen, sublimation, 3D printing, audio visual labs, green screens. We have a whole warehouse that can do a one-stop shop for new business owners or anybody who's trying to just get an online presence. And we just kind of got into that. That's more of my partners doing more of that, but because of the trades have given me that opportunity to grow my income, to be an investor, to do these opportunities and help continue to grow my portfolios. Without the trades and without that stability of an income and something to always fall back on, I could never take these chances. I wouldn't be able to grow these businesses to the level or even just have that chance. I'd have to worry about working for somebody else just to make ends meet. But I've been fortunate that I've made enough money that I can do my own thing. That's for me and my family.
Yeah. Unbelievable, Rylan. You dropped the mic on this episode, man. This is fantastic. And And I mean, what a great story and a great testament, right? To what can be achieved just by taking the path of the skilled trades. And yours is just one small example. Like you said, I mean, there are countless trades out there that can award you the same opportunity if and only if you're willing to work for it. I know that's something that you're big on. Now that I've gotten to know you, that's something that I'm big on. I don't care if you're in the trades or if you're, working at the grocery store or fast food, whatever. Without hard work, you're not going to get anywhere. You got bigger problems if you're afraid of the hard work. Even if your goal and even if your definition of success is to work as little as possible later in life, you still have to work your ass off first to get there, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing too, is I don't care what level of journeyman you are or apprentice or whatever, you're not better than the person beside you. For example, I never treated a detailer less than me. If he needed help, he needed help. If he had a question, there's no such, like, that's my biggest thing too, is there's no such thing as a dumb question. I just might have to give you a dumb answer. Because if you have a question, you don't know something, and that's fine. Come ask me. But if I have to give you a dumb answer and we all laugh at it at the end, don't take it personally. It's just you didn't know, and I'm working with you on this. You're never better than the person beside you. You know, as a journeyman, I scrubbed toilets for my company because that's what was needed out of me. I didn't get paid for it. I didn't ask for a hero biscuit when I did it. It's just that was our duty. We had to rotate, and it was my job to go clean the toilets. I could have made a big fight like all the other journeymen that were like, no, I'm past this. I'm better than everybody. I'm not scrubbing toilets. Well, why are you better than that? Why should we hire somebody to scrub your crap off the toilet? We're all humans. And that's just sometimes where people go, I'm better than that. I shouldn't have to do that. No, we all sweep floors. We should all have to take the garbage out. We should all have to do that grunt work that you feel you're better for. And sometimes these kids coming into here go, oh, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm better than that. That's the wrong attitude. But you see that too with a lot of young people coming through there where they felt like they've done their time, or they're, oh, the guy below me should take my garbage out. No, that's your garbage. You take your own garbage out.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. That having that humility and that humble attitude is all part of it, right? That's all part of finding that fulfillment in life and being successful in your profession and all of it. That's such a great point. So I can't believe how many points people are going to be taking away from this episode. Ryline, you have no idea the amount of wisdom that you're spitting right now from a 28-year-old. It's fantastic. Gray hairs and all. I bet you that just sprouts wisdom. That's fantastic. So we're rounding the corner now on about an hour. So I want to make sure that we get to all the points you want to get to. So is there anything at this point? You kind of brought us up to speed with where you're at today. Before I ask any of my next questions, is there something else that did you want to take us to the finish line with anything?
Not really. I just really wanted to put out there once again that if you're listening to this and you've come this far, take my story as kind of that if he can do it, I can do it, because you're better than me. Everybody that's listening to this, taking that step to better themselves, and my story is just my path. But if you want it, if you have a goal, or if you have that dream, turn it into a goal. Don't just dream about that house or dream about that car. Plan how you're going to get it, because anything is possible, but you just have to have that route to get you there. And the trades are an excellent way to get you to anywhere. If it's owning your own business, you start with a trade, you learn that skill, go get your own business. If it's whatever it is, you can achieve it. And don't use your excuses as your education or your family or your home life or whatever burdens that have been put on you. It's those are there, and that's your story. Don't forget it. But move forward, break past that, break out of those chains of generational gaps of poverty or whatever it is. Don't use that as an excuse. Get your goals. And that's really what I just really want people to understand is I'm a nobody. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the fastest. But I achieved what I wanted, and now I'm aiming for higher goals because I thought my goals that I set out were unrealistic, but I achieved them. And now I'm sitting here going, what's next? What's my next move?
That's fantastic. And it's easy, right? It's easy for people to become a victim of their circumstances. It will never, ever be easy to pull yourself out of those circumstances, but you are absolutely more than capable of doing it. You know, it's just about doing it, man. You just have to dig deep and make it happen.
And ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be better than what you think you are. If you need help, there's so many things in this world and so many people and so many organizations that are trying to help. And sometimes it just takes you not to be that bigger person to go, can you help me? Or do you know somebody or whatever it is, but don't be afraid to ask for help. It took me so many years. I've never asked for help. Don't have anybody to ask for help. There's nobody I can go to if I'm ever in a situation. So I've always had to fight that extra bit, but I'm always there for people that need that help. And that's where, I've helped so many people because they actually came and asked me, hey, I'm struggling. Can I come live with you? I have a room downstairs. Sure. Go ahead and move on in. You don't pay me rent. Let's get you back on your feet because I'm fortunate enough that I have this roof, that I can afford it. I don't need your money. And I've helped out countless people in that situation just because they came to me and asked for help, and I'm in that situation to help. So if you need to ask for it, don't be too grave. Don't be too proud.
Such a great point. Such a great point. I've always said too, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. But all right. So this is a good segue into my last question that I like to ask everybody. You talk about all the things that you're able to do for people now, the advice you're willing to give, and the circumstances you're willing to create for somebody to help them along the way. So I'm curious, at this point in your life, Ryline, what is your ultimate definition of success?
That's a very tough question, and I've been working my whole life to figure this out. But to me, success is not about wealth. It's about how rich you are in experiences, how rich you are in family, in just what you have and what you're able to give. I used to think success was about how much money I made, like we were talking about before, and how fast my cars went and how big my house was. But then when you have to work 20 hours a day to make that happen, is that really successful? So to me, success is not having to work, to love what you do, and to give your time to where you want to give it. To me, that is successful. If I can give 8 hours of my day to an organization that I feel proud about and that inspires me, that's successful. If I can walk to go pick my son up from school and my daughter up from school because I have that flexibility, that's successful. It's not about how fat my bank account is, because that will come once you're passionate about what you do.
Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. And what a great definition of success. Ryline, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story and your trials, your tribulations. I know a lot of that, it's got to be tough to open up about, but you're doing it for the right reasons. And I know that people listening to this podcast, this episode in particular, are going to have a lot of takeaways and a lot of reasons to be inspired. So before we hop off, why don't you tell people where they can find you if they need to get a hold of you?
So if anybody wants to reach out to me, if they want to just speak or get to know more of my story, or just you want to tell me your story, I'm open for whatever. I'm just a big ears, you can't see them, but they're big ears here. You can reach me at ry_e@hotmail.com, or on Facebook at Ryline, RYLINE, Monkman, MONKMAN. I'm open if you want to reach out to me. My email is the best to kind of reach out to me, but I'm here for you guys. If you're kind of questioning your own and you just need help, I don't have all the answers, but I've been through some things in my life, and so I want to get my story out there so people can be inspired and motivate themselves and do the best for them, because that's what we want in this world, is everybody bettering themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ryline, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
All right. Until next time, buddy.